Grimm's Fairy Tales. The Four Musicians. A donkey who had worked for a farmer for many years was getting old. He could no longer pull the farmer's wagon when it was piled high with hay. He could no longer carry heavy sacks of corn on his back. One day, as he was standing in the barnyard chewing a mouthful of tasty oats, the donkey heard the farmer talking to his wife. They were in the kitchen, but the window was open, and the donkey could hear every word. "I'm afraid the donkey's useful days are over," said the farmer. "The animal can't pull or carry any more." "We certainly can't afford to feed him if he can't work," said the farmer's wife. "You had better get rid of him." "I'll take him to the leather factory after lunch," said the farmer. "Maybe his hide will make a good saddle for a horse I intend to buy." When the donkey heard this, he decided not to wait until the farmer had finished his lunch. "I'm not going to stay here and be turned into leather," he said to himself. "I'll move into town and make a living as a musician." So he trotted out of the barnyard, and when he reached the road, he started off for town at a gallop. After a mile or two, he came upon a dog lying on the side of the road, panting for breath. The donkey stopped to catch his own breath, for he had not galloped since he was much younger. "What's the matter with you?" asked the donkey. "My master wants to get rid of me," said the dog. "I'm old now and no longer able to hunt. I heard my master say he was going to shoot me, so I decided to run away. But now I don't know how I'm going to earn my bread." "Why don't you come along with me?" said the donkey. "I'm moving into town to be a musician. I'll play the trumpet and you can beat the drums. Between us we'll make enough to live on." The dog thought that was a fine idea, and off he went with the donkey. After a while they came upon a cat sitting in the road looking as though the world was coming to an end. "What's your trouble?" asked the donkey. "I'm growing old," replied the cat. "My claws are no longer sharp and my teeth are all worn down, so I can't catch mice any more. All I can do is sit by the fire and sleep. I heard my mistress say she was going to drown me and buy a kitten, so I decided to run away, but now I don't know how I'm going to feed myself." "Why don't you come along with us?" said the dog. "We're going to earn our living as musicians in the town," said the donkey. You are good at singing, especially at night. Why don't you join us?" The cat thought it was a good idea, and so the three went down the road together. As they passed the farmyard, they saw a rooster sitting on the gate, crowing away as though he had never stopped. "Why are you crowing so loud and so much?" asked the donkey. "Because it's Saturday," replied the rooster, "and tomorrow, on Sunday, my master and his wife have guests coming for dinner. Because I'm old and no longer get up early in the morning to crow on the new day, my mistress has told the cook to cut off my head and make me into soup for tomorrow's dinner. So I decided to crow as long as I am able." "You have a good strong voice," said the cat. "What a shame to lose it. Come along with us," said the donkey. "We're going to make musicians and earn our bread as musicians. Music together and earn our bread as musicians." The rooster thought that was a splendid idea, and so the four traveled on together toward the town. But since the town was a long way off, they decided to spend the night where they were in the forest. The donkey and the dog lay down on a tree. Under a tree, the cat climbed up on a branch, and the rooster flew up to the very top branches. As he looked around at the country below, he saw a light off in the distance, shining through the trees. Down he flew at once to tell his companions that there was a house not far away. "Maybe we can find shelter there," said the donkey, "and a mouthful of hay." "And a bone with meat on it," said the dog. "And a bowl of warm milk," said the cat. "And a handful of corn," said the rooster. So off they went, with the rooster flying overhead to guide them. The light shone brighter and brighter until they came to the well-lit house. Since they were all in fear of their lives, they decided to investigate before knocking at the door to ask for shelter. The donkey, who was the biggest, looked in the window. "What do you see?" asked the rooster. "I see a band of robbers," replied the cat. "What are they doing?" asked the cat. "They're sitting around a table enjoying a delicious meal," answered the donkey. "I wish we were in there enjoying that meal," sighed the dog, licking his chops hungrily. These robbers had been in that forest for a long time. They had been stopping everyone who tried to pass on the way to town and making them hand over the money and precious jewels. So bold were these robbers that they ate and lived better than anyone else in that part of the country. The four animals put their heads together and tried to think of some way to drive the robbers away. They thought and thought. At last they came up with a plan. The donkey put his front feet up on the window sill, and the dog climbed up on his back. The cat climbed up on the dog, the rooster flew up and perched on the cat's head. Then the donkey gave a signal, and the four musicians began to make music all at the same time. The donkey brayed, the dog barked, the cat howled, the rooster crowed for all his worth. As he made this great noise, together the donkey put his hoofs through the window. With a tremendous crash of the glass, the four musicians burst into the room. The robbers were frightened by the noise and terrified by the smashing of glass. Thinking that they were being attacked by demons, they ran out of the house and into the forest. The four musicians sat down at once and finished the meal the robbers had left behind. Then they went to sleep. The donkey found some straw out in the yard and lay down. The dog curled up behind the kitchen door, and the cat found a spot on the hearth floor, and the rooster flew up on the roof. Meanwhile, the robbers were in a secret hiding place not far away. They could still see their old house. When they saw that the lights in the house were out, they wondered if the demons had left. The leader of the robbers sent one of his men to find out. Moving as quietly as he could, the robber crept into the house through the broken window. All was dark and still inside. The robber was convinced that the house was empty, and decided it would be safe to have some light, so he looked around for the fireplace. The cat, however, heard the noise of the robber walking around, and he opened his eyes wide. Seeing the cat's eyes glowing in the dark, the robber thought there were hot coals in the fire. He took a match out of the pocket and held it toward the cat's eyes, expecting the hot coals to burst into flame. Seeing a hand coming right at his face, the cat jumped at the robber's face, spitting and scratching wildly. The robber was scared out of his wits and tried to get out through the kitchen door. The dog, hearing the noise, jumped up and bit him on the leg. As the robber ran across the yard, the donkey was aroused by the commotion. He got up and kicked the robber with his hind legs. The rooster, waking up at the sound, out of a sound sleep, heard the noise and thought that the morning was coming. He began to crow, cock-a-doodle-doo, cock-a-doodle-doo. Back the robber ran as fast as he could to his comrades. They were waiting for him, eager for news. "Well, what did you find?" asked the leader. "A witch," said the robber, trying to catch his breath. "There's a witch in the house. She sprang at me and scratched me with her long nails, and there's a man behind the kitchen door with his knife who stabbed me, and out in the yard there is a huge black monster beat me with a great wooden club. But out on the roof there was worst of all. There was a judge who kept waiting to hang me, and he kept calling, 'Bring the rogue up, bring the rogue up, do!' And so I ran away from there as fast as I could." Alarmed by this story, the robbers left the forest and their house. They went far away to another country where they were not known. The four musicians liked the house so much they decided not to move into town after all. Instead, they stayed where they were, living together like good companions and making music whenever they liked. But though they always broke out into songs of welcome whenever someone was near, they could never understand why no one came to visit them. And that is the end of the four musicians told by the Grimm. It's a fairy tale. Thank you guys all for listening, and I'll see you guys for the next.